power of kettlebells goes beyond the gym. Here are 5 reasons to start now. But before we get there, let's talk about the history of kettlebells. You may not be aware of this, but kettlebells have been around for hundreds of years, if not thousands. They originated in Russia. In Russian markets, they were used as counterbalances to weigh dried goods like beans and grains and stuff like that. And they were also used to tie tents down with, to keep them from blowing away on windy days. According to legend, one day when 2 workers were breaking down the tents and removing the kettlebells from the scene, they got into an argument. One of the workers decided to grab one of the kettlebells and whip it at the other guy. The other guy saw what he did, so he picked up the kettlebell and he whipped it back at him. But because the kettlebells were not light, like a feather, they had to grab the kettlebell and swing it between their hips at the other person. That is how the kettlebell swing was invented, as you can see me doing right here. After going back and forth for a while, these 2 guys were out of gas. They were exhausted. And they realized, holy smokes, this is a viable tool for exercise. Before too long, the Russian military caught wind of the kettlebell and they ended up using them in training all of their forces, which later became one of the strongest military forces in the world. Go figure, it was all because of the kettlebell. There's your quick history lesson on the kettlebell. And by the way, if you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and share this video and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Now let's get down to the benefits. First things first, kettlebells increase strength. They range in weights that start as low as 1 pound, and literally I've seen them and they're about this big and they look like a paperweight, and I think they're absolutely ridiculous, but they do start that light and they go all the way up to 106 pounds or more. They're often segmented in kilograms when you see kettlebells. So a 48 kilogram kettlebell is 106 pounds, and let me tell you, that thing is a heavy sucker and it's a big old mass of cast iron. It's also known as the beast. One of my favorite exercises to build strength is a renegade row. Renegade rows are done from a plank position where you pull one kettlebell up to the side of your body and then you pull the other one up to the side of your body. And you can also incorporate push-ups, as you can see me doing here. Other exercises such as squats, Turkish getups, presses, all of these drills, lunges, super good to build overall strength. So that's one of the major benefits of kettlebells right there. Next, you have fat loss. And when I say fat loss, I'm talking about primarily in the midsection. And it's critically important to keep fat down in the midsection, especially visceral fat, which is that deep fat that packs around the organs, because it increases your risk for disease. So by using kettlebells, you can reduce the risk for such diseases as cardiovascular disease, stroke, cancer, heart attacks, fatty liver disease, diabetes. The list goes on and on. Any kind of condition that is related to excess body fat can be prevented, yes, by using kettlebells. One of the cool things about kettlebells is their unique design. As you can see, it is like a circular ball, also known as an orb, with a curved handle on it. This enables you to do exercises seamlessly and quickly from one to the next in what is often called a complex. As you can see me doing here, I'm doing a squat, press, march combination. You can work the lower body, the upper body, the midsection, basically the whole entire body, all rolled into one, while even batting an eyelash in one fell swoop. And you can use 1 kettlebell or 2 kettlebells. The third benefit that I'm bringing to the table is improved balance. Again, due to the unique design of the kettlebell, you will be off balance when you use 1 kettlebell at a time, or even 2. When you're off balance, you're required to contract stabilizing muscles to keep your body upright and in good position. This has a massive transfer effect when it comes to balance outside the gym or outside your home gym as well when you're training with kettlebells. So let's take, for example, when you're walking down a slippery sidewalk in the middle of a snowstorm in the winter, as you can see me doing here. If you happen to lose your balance by training with kettlebells, you're gonna be able to correct yourself easier than if you don't train with kettlebells. And yes, I guess there's some truth to the fact that any kind of exercise is gonna help improve your balance. But because the kettlebell is a little more off balance when you're using it, it has a bigger carryover effect, in my opinion. And again, these benefits are my personal favorite benefits. In the big picture, there are hundreds of benefits involved with kettlebell training, but these are 5 of my favorite ones. And speaking of favorites, let's talk about brain function, which is number 4. When you're using kettlebells, if you're using 1 or 2, it is very much like a golf swing. You have to pay strict attention to your former technique or you will get jacked up and you will be, well, worst case scenario, you'll be in the hospital, but let's not go to those extremes. You can definitely put yourself under threat if you don't use proper form and technique. I have seen egregious and preposterous errors with kettlebells in the gym and out in the streets many, many times over and over. And I literally get backaches just watching some people use them. It is critically important to use proper form and technique, and when you do, it fires up the brain cells to a degree only thought about when it comes to doing crossword puzzles or doing any kind of sitting word game or something like that, or word finds. Yeah, I know it's been proven that those things do help brain function, but seriously, you're in a seated position and you're hunched over like this, doing a crossword puzzle or reading a book or something like that. I particularly like physical activity through the medium of movement, especially when it is complex. For example, if you're doing an exercise like a swing, snatch, and windmill combination, you have to think about multiple things. You have to pay strict attention to your form and make sure it's right and correct so you don't get injured. You have to pay attention to the amount of reps you're doing. You have to pay attention to the amount of sets you're doing, and you need to stay 100% focused. This has a massive carryover effect on brain function, which will carry over into everything you do outside the gym or your training facility that involves your brain function. Memorization can become better, cognitive function can be better, and I have it on good authority to believe you can reverse the aging process of the brain by doing complex movement patterns with kettlebells. Lastly, benefit number 5 is convenience. You don't need a lot of space to store kettlebells, number 1. As you can see, my kettlebells are stacked neatly in the corner of our room here on this plastic guard, and I have the rest of the room to actually exercise in. That speaks volumes. So you don't need a lot of space to store your kettlebells. You can put them alongside a wall. You can work out in a small amount of space, and you can even take these with you when you go to a park or someone's house that has a nice lawn in the back, or you can just carry them outside yourself in the backyard and execute kettlebell exercises seamlessly. That eliminates the excuse of I don't want to go to the gym, or I can't make it to the gym, or gyms are too expensive, and the list goes on and on. And believe you me, in my 25 plus years of training people, I have heard and seen every excuse in the book. And yes, I don't want to go to the gym is one of those excuses, or I hate going to the gym. But what if you had a nice convenient place to work out at home? What if you had one kettlebell, 2 kettlebells, or a whole collection of them? Then you just solved that problem, my friend. And if you like Mother Nature, take your kettlebells out to the park. There you have it. Those are my personal 5 favorite benefits of kettlebell training. Get yourself some kettlebells, get using them immediately. Make sure to follow my page too. I have a ton of kettlebell exercises on it. Just check for the Kettlebells playlist. And in the meantime, if you want to do some health coaching or training, you know where to find me. Until next time, this is Kevin David Rail reporting live. Make sure to like and share this video, share with all your friends and family members, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet.